Okay, everyone, here we are with our reading. Okay, I love reading. Actually, that's what I really love about IELTS in general, that I'm learning. I'm always learning, and it reminds me of that time when I was in university. And that's why I love teaching IELTS, and also why I love the reading section, because we're always learning about different subjects. And for me, it's really enjoyable. For example, this unit is about history, and this reading is about history. It says remnants of the past. You see there? Yes. Remnants. Remnants means what remains from the past. Remainders. So maybe like from dinosaurs, for example, fossils are remnants of the past. If we talk about archaeological excavations, maybe pieces of old furniture or houses. We can say artifacts. Did see somewhere around here we'll find those words. So this reading says what remains from the past, okay? Let's turn over to the questions first. In general, let's remember that when we do the reading section for the exam, we always need to read the questions first or look over the questions. I see questions 1 to 6. They are about, it says here, says, look at the following statements of a list of people on the opposite page. Match each statement with the correct person. Okay? And very important, you may use any letter more than once. So this is matching, a matching exercise, matching questions. So it says here we need to read. Let's get rid of all that. It says we need to read each question and we need to match it to one of these researchers. Who said it basically? Was it A, Good, B, Lambert, C, Jakes, D, Drucker, or E, Barber? Okay. Let's also remember that we have a guide, a basic general guide. Page 50, 59. 59 to 61. It's a general guide that gives us some tips about how we should approach each question type. Okay? So we have true, false, not given. We have yes, no, not given. Fill in the blank. Multiple choice. Classification. Which paragraph contains the information, vocabulary paragraph completion or paragraph completion, list of headings, diagram completion, table completion, and sentence completion. Different types of questions. The one that we just read, this one here, is classification. Right here. And it says here that the answers could be throughout the text. Probably because they're probably going to talk about the researchers throughout. Although sometimes I find that the answers are in order. I mean, the questions, just the researchers are everywhere. Okay? We'll look at it after more carefully. But going back to our guide, read, rephrase. Of course, we need to read and rephrase each question. So question 1 says, very old cloth can be preserved by the conditions around it. That's what it says. Can you say it another way? When we rephrase, we get ourselves mentally prepared for finding that information. So you should rephrase. You should take about 10 to 20 seconds to rephrase, and I'm looking at it here. So whatever is around pieces of clothing or material for clothes can be maintained or can be kept. So just the environment around the cloth can keep it well preserved. Okay? So I rephrased. Remember, if it's not in order, then we should read all the questions just to know. So number 2 says, the ability to create things out of cloth had as great an impact on society as the invention of tools. So when we were able to make clothing, create things out of cloth, or this invention had the same effect or was the same as when we made tools. So making clothes is as important as making tools. I agree, actually. I think that's true, because just to give you an idea, if we had this really cold winter here in Canada and we had tools but we didn't have warm clothing, we wouldn't be able to survive. So yes, making clothes is very important, okay? And you see how I'm thinking about the question? I'm trying to, I guess we can say, get myself thinking about the question, and this is important. Don't just read the question and move on. Understanding the question is almost more important than finding the answer. Keep that in mind. So question 3 says, evidence has led to a reevaluation of where certain materials originated. So research has made us think more about where materials were first used. Okay, so trying to find when we started to use some materials. So lots of research, and we are now thinking about it more, reevaluating. Good. 4, studying cloth can teach us about the expertise of early peoples. For sure. It's amazing how people evolved making clothes. I don't think that I could do it. Sometimes I think I've mentioned this before, but we take for granted. That means we don't consider some wonderful inventions. We take it for granted. And yes, the people that invented clothing or created clothing and materials and cloth, wow, they had some really good knowledge too. That's what this question says, that if we know the cloth material, we can understand the knowledge of the people, the expertise. Five, we can use very small remnants of cloth to learn about ancient life. Pieces, small pieces, remainders. So even small little bits of any material from the past or cloth can help us understand about how people lived before, the ancient life. I think so too. And six, okay. Archaeologists can get misleading information from objects used for fighting. So archaeologists, which are the people that research this type of information or try to get this type of evidence from the past, they dig into the ground to find old pieces of materials or bones, fossils. So it says here that they can get misleading information, means the wrong information. The wrong information from the objects that were used in fighting or battle. Okay. Could be, yep. So we read the questions, we rephrased it. Who said it? We need to match. Questions 7 to 13. Well, we've done these ones before. Yes, no, not given. Yes. I know some of you don't like that, but I like these ones. So, our guide again, going back to the classification, well, it says it's a keyword search. Most of these questions are, we need to match the keywords. So here, actually going back, misleading was a keyword, for example, remnants, ancient life. So we need to connect those keywords, okay? I will illustrate more. Same thing for the yes, no, not given questions. A little bit different here. Says questions follow a linear pattern. That means they are in order in the text. So question 7, for example, should be first somewhere in the text, and that's your first guiding point. So if question 7, for example, if question 7 is in this paragraph right here, for example, question 8 has to be next. It can't be above. Let's say question 8 is here. Question 9 needs to be here, not here. Okay? So that's important because let's imagine that question 7 is here. Question 9 is here. So 7 here, 9 here, 8 has to be right here. And if it's not here, then it means it's not given. Okay? So that's something to remember. So again, answers, another important thing, answers can be assumed. Okay. Okay, I can't highlight that. Okay, assumed. That means it doesn't have to be the exact information. Unlike true, false, not given, it has to be the exact information, not assumptions. But yes, no, not given just means does the writer agree, disagree, okay? So, read 2 questions at a time. If one question, okay, we already talked about that. Then it should be not given. Read, rephrase, and try to generalize ideas, what I taught you already. Again, keyword search. It's about finding where those keywords or that key part of the question is in the text. Vocabulary association is important. What does that mean? It says here, do not focus on individual words, but rather on the connection between the words. Okay, this is important because, yes, maybe it's a keyword search, but it doesn't exactly mean that one word is going to make a difference. Because we need to understand the idea, the connection between the words. Especially when we need to say whether it's yes, no, not given. Some students might choose yes or no just because it's a different word. But we need to understand the idea to assume it. Okay? Information could be assumed. Ideas don't have to be exact. But you see up here for yet true, false, not given, information should be exact. Ideas should be exact. Then we should, it says here, we should check for yes or no first. Does it agree or disagree? And then let's say we discover that no, it doesn't agree, or we think it's no. We need to double check one more thing. Is it no because would you say the author would disagree on the idea exactly, or is it not talking about that information? Or is it different information? And it also says here, be careful with comparatives. Yes, comparatives. It's usually not given because it doesn't usually compare to things. It just mentions them. So that's a good point. Okay, so you can read that again in your guide. Remember, that's page 59. Now back to here. Let's read question 7. Okay, let's erase that. Okay, so question 7. Information about an insect can offer evidence about the origins of a piece of cloth. So we rephrase. So if we get some kind of fossil or some kind of, we find, I guess it would be a fossil from an insect, then this could give us something about where clothing came from, or cloth, the origins of a cloth. Okay. I'm not sure. I'm not an archaeologist about this one. And then it says we should read at least 2. I would read 3 questions at a time, actually. Scientists have long realized the potential of ancient scraps of material. So for a long time, scientists have always believed that old, very old pieces of material, scraps means pieces, small pieces. it has potential. It can give us a lot of information. Okay? Then 9. According to Lambert, we can predict the amount of time that organic materials can last. So Lambert, this writer, researcher, we can predict the amount of time that organic materials can last, or how long they can remain preserved, maybe. We can predict that. Okay. So I read 3. That's a good start. And, well, I guess if we're thinking about time, 3 would be enough. I read those 3, and I read these ones. Now I'm going to go to my reading. You're going to follow along with me. I'm not going to read it all for you. I'm just going to scan it, because that's all we need to do. Of course, I can scan very fast because, well, English is my first language. But I think that even if English is not your first language, you should use a scanning method where you're not... The problem that some students do is they take time reading, like in a museum laboratory. Good is that's not scanning. Scanning is good as studying found essential threads in a solution. Okay, then he specified. Okay, proteins. What amino acids are present and or the variants? Okay. Oh, I see moths. What amino acids are present? So I saw moths. Moth is key because you should know that moths are insects. They're those insects that come out in the summertime and then they turn into caterpillars. They're kind of like ugly butterflies. We don't like them. So it says what amino acids are present and the order they are in vary in different species of moths and therefore give a clue to the place where the silk was made. Oh, I remember that now. That one is, there you go, 7. Information about the insect can offer evidence about the origins, where it was made. Yes. So that seems to match exactly. So, oops. So, number 7, I would say is true, okay? So this one here is yes. All right. 1 down, so we should always think about the rest. Potential scraps, we already read those. Okay, so let's keep reading. Scanning. Don't forget I'm a very old cloth. I have some idea of these ones, okay? So remember that one there is number 7. Let's put in there 7 so we can remember. Next, what I love, okay. Scholars held that. So it says here, ancient silk came not from domesticated Chinese, but from species of wild moths native. Okay, so I see here something very important. It's telling me her findings indicate that ancient silk came not. So this is reminding me here. It says all silk was from China. Yeah, here, number 3, I can see here, it says, it was assumed that all silk came from China. Right there. But our work is now calling that assumption into question. It says that her research, or good, right here, good, is showing that ancient silk came not from domesticated Chinese silkworms, but from other species of wild moths in Western Europe. Okay, so that sounds exactly like evidence has led to a reevaluation of where certain materials, so it didn't come from China, came from Western Europe is what it said here. So reevaluation. So that one there is, oh, and our researcher is good. Yep. So A. Okay. And we can also put on over here. Okay. Number 3. Good. Good, and really, it was good. Okay, next, let's go on. So, today, good in researchers. Lots of shedding light on many aspects. Much of the inside. Ooh, minuscule samples. Look at this. Minuscule samples. Minuscule means very, very small. See how I focused in on that word? You're level 7 or higher. You need to know these words. So it says here, so now that I found this word or this keyword or this here, says the results are shedding light. Shedding light means providing us more information on many aspects of daily life among early peoples, ancient people. And much of the insight is coming from minuscule samples. So I remember that one is to do with, let's remember, I think it's number 8. No, so maybe it's in here. Right here. We can use very small remnants of cloth to learn about ancient life. There we go. So number 5. And that one again, let's double check. Today, good. So it's good. A. For number 5. A. Again there. Okay. That was number 5. So number 5 is right over here. Okay. Very good. So let's move on. Okay, until recently remains regionally overlooked because they were afraid. Okay, look at this. Biological deterioration from air, water, minerals. So the surroundings, I remember. Texts look, they are subject to all kinds of... Analytical. Okay. Let's read ahead. So it says they degrade over time, so they get older. Or they break down, they get destroyed. However, according to Lambert, in some cases, engines have survived well because they spent centuries in arid freezing. Okay. So, Lambert, some textiles survived freezing. Okay. There you go. It says, so the environment can have an effect on whether the material remains in good condition over time. That reminds me of a question. Which one was it? Very old cloth can be preserved by the conditions around it. Survived, can be preserved, survived. Yes, Lambert. B for number 1. Okay. B. Okay, and up here, number 1. Okay, good. So now that I'm reading ahead, I should always check the questions again. Let's remember, I'm still looking for the potential of ancient scraps of material. We can predict, it's talking about Lambert there. Predict the amount of time that organic materials can last. Maybe, let's check. Okay, it's burgeoning, it's increasing, it's becoming more popular. Combining, training. Not really talking about predicting. So let's continue. Okay. So, what weaving techniques, so what tools were used, what dyes were used to color. Enables readers to infer the technological skills of ancient civilizations. Infer means predict, suggest something. So it says here that all this information enables researchers to infer the technological skills of ancient civilizations. That reminds me of a question. Let's look. No. There we go. Studying cloth can teach us about the expertise of early peoples. The knowledge can teach us about it. The technological skills, the expertise. So that is who? Notes Catherine Jakes of Ohio State University. So Jakes. Notes means suggests, or she says that. So Jakes, C for number 4. Okay. Let me look again at the other questions. Oh, sorry, no, here. Here it's talking about Jakes. So it looks like these 3 questions, I've missed them somehow. Realize the potential of ancient scraps. Okay, I remember that. Yes, it was around here. Good analysts are applying. Okay, you see here, until recently, these remains were overlooked. Overlooked means not considered To overlook something means to ignore it. Maybe right now we are overlooking past information about viruses, maybe. So that's why we don't understand this virus. So it says that if we overlooked it, until recently it was overlooked, then it means that they didn't look at this information before because it was too frayed, too old, too fragile. It means too weak. So that is suggesting to me that scientists have long realized the potential? No, they overlooked it. They didn't realize the potential. So it's the opposite. So that means that this one here is no. Okay, that's number 8. So we're on the right track here with yes, no. We can predict the amount of time organic materials can last. So it should be in the same area. Notice how I saw over here it's talking about jakes. And I noticed that here it was jakes all the way down in question 11. So I said, wait a minute, I need to back up here. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm being an active reader for the test. I'm keeping everything in my mind. Okay, all kinds of things are kind of. And then it says, most cloth and clay degrade over time. Scientific interest in Asian textiles and other fiber objects is burgeoning. So the question exactly again. We can predict the amount of time that organic materials last, and Joseph Lambert has led the way in research techniques of archaeological artifacts, old things. Okay, this one I know now. Has led the way. This here means he's like a leader. He's the one that is focusing on this. One. It's only one person. And I remember one word, techniques in here. If we look closely, he is a pioneer. You see here? It says he is a pioneer in the use of analytical chemical techniques for the study of archaeological materials or artifacts. Pioneer, when you're a pioneer, you're the first of a kind. So he's like leading the way. He's doing that. So that tells me that number 10 is yes. He's a pioneer. He's leading the way in this research. Now, interesting here. You see I have no for 8. I have yes for 10. So that means that question 9 has to be between them. Something about predicting how long the materials last. Let me look carefully. Here's 8. Here's 9. So it has to be K, subject, all kinds of attack. I don't see anything about predictions. It's not talking about we can predict right here. So for that reason, number 9 is not given. Okay? Good. Now we have Jake's experiments with dye were the first of this kind. I remember it was talking about Jake's over here. So actually, let me put over here. Oh, this is 9. Sorry, and this one is 10. What does it say about Jakes over here? Jakes is analyzed or carbonized. Analysis have revealed text of the presence of color. Including knowledge of color. It says Jakes, she and her colleagues have conducted experiments to find out what combinations of plants and minerals the Hopewell groups may have used. Okay. Oh, I see something about seeds here. Just tested the bath. Let me check on the questions more clearly. Okay, I don't see 2, and I only have misleading. I didn't see that. Jake's experiment with dye were the okay. So it talked about experiments with dye there. Were the first of this kind. Ancient Egyptians. Let me read 12 to be more clear. Evershed evidence supports the theory that ancient Egyptians used a basic method to preserve mummies. Mummies are what ancient Egyptians, how they preserved people who have died. They're pharaohs, the people that died. And it's called mummifying the bodies. So they would use some special kinds of preservatives to keep the body from decaying. Okay. So, and then let me read 13 as well. Research. So it says here, 12. That Evershed's research supports this idea. So it gives evidence for this process by the Egyptians, okay? The mummification process. 13, researchers have used new data to question previous theories about the expertise of early people. So nowadays they use new information, new data about the expertise or the knowledge of ancient people, okay? So going back to over here, I see them talking about the process of dyeing here, as in dyeing materials and cloth. It conducted experiments to find out I saw here had been colored, so that's like dyeing cloth. See here, prehistoric people probably use plants like. So I see here talking, this is the key here. It says she and her colleagues have conducted experiments to find out combinations. And then I see here it talks about using dyes. And this is what can be a distraction or make people think about the question. But it doesn't say that Jakes is a pioneer or the first to do these types of experiments. So for that reason, this question here is, it has to be not given, okay? Doesn't really talk about that. Not given. Question 11 from here. Okay, good. So now we know the other questions that we're still looking for. Let's go over here. Here's Evershed. Another pioneer. Very interesting research that these people are doing. I don't know. Are you interested in this kind of research? Okay, so the Egyptians preserved millions of mammals. Okay. Scholars had assumed. Okay, Evershed finds. Okay, here's the key. It says his findings call that assumption into question. So it says people believe the Egyptians preserved millions of mammals, birds, and reptiles as votive offerings. Okay? But it says Evershed findings call that assumption into question, or say that is questionable. Means they don't support that idea. And here it says supports the theory. No. That one is no. They don't support the theory. Here it says support the theory that ancient Egyptians used that method. But here it says they call that assumption into question. So the answer is no. Okay. For 12. Is that 12? Yep. So we have one more here. And we have a few more over here. Archaeologist misleading. Let's see. Egyptians had surprisingly sophisticated kids. The study of ancient bone. Oh, here we go. Tools. You see? Tools and weapons can lead to a skewed interpretations of past life. Here's again comes the academic knowledge. We need to know this kind of vocabulary. And the more reading you do, the more you investigate the vocabulary. Because it says here skewed. Skewed means mislead or not correct. Another similar word is distorted. So it says that evidence from tools and weapons can be misleading about past life. I remember that one, I think is, there we go, 6. Okay, so who said it? It says here Drucker, Penelope Drucker. Okay, so D. Over here, it's D. And that one over here, 6. Okay. Very good. We just have 2 questions to go. So at some archaeological... Okay. Okay, more information about scholars have been rethinking ideas. So it says scholars have been rethinking ideas about the early developments of skills such as spinning and weaving. So this is reminding me of something here. It says as sophisticated techniques have revealed. So new information has revealed. Scholars have been rethinking about the development such as spinning and weaving. So it says new sophisticated techniques have shown more detailed information, and scholars or researchers have been rethinking. So reanalyzing. And that reminds me of question 13. Which of you knew that to question previous? So to question previous theories. Yes, rethinking. So they are rethinking about them. They're questioning them and thinking more about the expertise of people. It's said here, weaving. So that should be yes. It says here, look, they're rethinking. They're questioning about the expertise about spinning and weaving. Okay. 13. So we have just one more right here with the ability to create things out of cloth had a great impact. So let's look. Weaving in cloth. So it's very old, say at least 20,000 years old. Wow, that's amazing. Okay. I see here. Look what it says. So we are looking at the researchers is Barber. Okay. A specialist. Says she is a specialist in the Bronze Age and Neolithic cultures. She has argued that fiber making expertise was as revolutionary as the creation of equipment for working with stone and metal. Wow. So she says that fiber making, so making cloth, this was revolutionary, something so advanced, something new, innovative, similar to, as revolutionary as means similar to the creation of equipment for working with stone and metal. So tools, that's exactly what 2 says. Create things out of cloth, so fiber making, great impact. It had a great impact. It was revolutionary, like tools. And that was Barber. So Barber. So 2 is E. Wow. Very interesting, everyone. Again, wow, that was very interesting. Okay, so number 1, you can see number 1 is here. And also, let's just analyze a little bit. You can see that these ones were everywhere. Here's number 1. Here's 6. Here's 3. Here's 7. 7 was actually first. Oh, no, that was from yes and not given. So, like we noted, this one's not 1 here. That one is 11. Which one is that one? It says 7, 3, 5, 8, 10. Okay, this one's 11. All this one here is 11. So the environment one, environment can have an impact. Oh yeah, it is number 1. This one is 2. Okay, that's where I'm making the mistake here. You can laugh at me, everyone. So again, list or classifications can be throughout the text and not in order, okay? The information or the researchers. Seemed like the researchers were a bit in order, actually. Good was first, then Lambert, then Jakes, then Drucker, then Barber. I do remember that in some cases, the researchers or the choices are in order, but not the questions. So let's keep that in mind. Yes, no, not given. It did follow a linear pattern. And also, this was really good about the not givens, right? They were between those answers. Okay, everyone. We can go ahead with the next reading, which is page 52. all the way to 55. What's that one about? The robots are coming, or are they? Artificial intelligence. If we had robotic bodies, this virus wouldn't affect us. Oh boy. That's called transhumanism. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I definitely am not happy with the coronavirus. Everyone, please review this reading we did today. Review the vocabulary, review the questions, and understand why these parts connect. We have to understand these patterns because this is similar to how the test is, okay? And notice how I didn't read the full text, I just scanned throughout. Was looking for the key words that connected to the questions. It's easier said than done, though. I know, yes, that's for me. But I think that a level 7 student needs to know 75% of these words. So please review it, read it again, check all the vocabulary that you don't know. And if you have any questions, please comment. Look forward to the next reading. Bye for now.